Yeah.
Small world, man.
We are live, so it's very important to start on time. So we are going to wait till the other guests come in, but you guys can have small talk. We are live with the audience streaming, so feel free to talk basketball and whatever. People who do people, and how the basketball world makes the world so small.
I got a question for the fellas. Who's gonna win that chip this year? NBA.
That's a good one. I'm gonna pass it, Mark. I normally the two guard, the point guard, me and Marcus play together tomorrow, so I'm gonna give it to my cousin, the point guard.
Okay.
All right, I'll take it. It's gonna be a tough one, man, but I'm gonna go with the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna bet against LeBron. Mm-hmm. I think he can get this one with all the the circumstances that's going on. Right. I think they probably the most mentally strong team.
Right.
Right. So what's amazing to that? So I'm a chime man. So I just saw today the breaking news that the Clippers and the Lakers are not playing for the rest of the playoffs. That's the only two teams that decided that they're not playing. And LeBron walked out of the meeting. Me and Shawn was talking about it too. So they're done. The Clippers and the Lakers will not continue the postseason. So and then they were still kind of figuring out what the black players were going to do. So obviously the salaries, some of them are not doing as well as the top leaders or the superstars. But it got real heated and ugly, and LeBron walked out. But those were the only two teams that said they made a stand that they would not play. So if I look at the teams that's still in the playing field, I would probably have to go with Milwaukee if they decide to continue. But it don't look like it because of the aftermath that took place after the shooting.
You know what? I like that. I like that move. And for me, I think that's a legendary move, man. Just to, these guys have such a platform like LeBron. And I just think that's where it starts. Mm-hmm. We just got to keep the heat on them. You can't just, go in a month and just let everything die down. It just has to be a continual thing because like everybody's saying, it's systemic, man. And these people are just like, okay, they're thinking in their mind like it's gonna die down. They're gonna get tired. They're gonna forget about it. No, we have to keep just projecting this heat, this power that we have on these people, man. And until then, it's not gonna change.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm 100% in agreement with that. I think when you have your leader make that first domino, I think all the rest of the dominoes will fall. But I think just from the market with LA Lakers and the Clippers to make that executive decision, it'd be very interesting to see who follows suit from that standpoint with the league. And not just that, I was, also it was great to see other sports, also make that decision to do it, and even some players from tennis, being black people. So I like what Jalen Rose just said earlier too, as well. So I think we're on the right track.
Who you got winning it though? You didn't say that.
Exactly.
Oh, I did. I said no.
I'm talking about DeMond.
Oh, DeMond. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I like the Lakers because of the depth. I also like Milwaukee too, just how they just play as a team, man. They only have one superstar, and everybody, they have these pieces that that are filled in. But I'm gonna have to go with the Lakers just because of their the amount of players that they have coming off the bench.
Wow. So Shawn, welcome, brother.
Good evening.
Good evening, kind sir. So we hadn't officially started the show, so we're just having a small dialogue before we go live. We'll be jumping on here, but DeMond asked a question based on what's going on. If they had finished the league, who will win the championship? So you've been right there, front row as a coach. So if you looked at it right now, who would you put your money on to win it all this year?
I agree with him as far as Milwaukee is the most balanced team on both ends of the floor. With when you have a player like Giannis, he's the X factor. He can have a bad game and still win the game for you. Those guys sometimes have to have good to great games to win games, and he's probably one of the few guys who could struggle and still somehow come out with a win.
Oh wow! Plus, he gets it done on it. He's that anchor on the defense as well. But I think their nucleus and their camaraderie and chemistry is real solid on both sides of the ball, man. So That's why I picked Milwaukee.
Yeah. I agree with you. What's up, fellas? Everything okay?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
Hanging in there on my end.
Okay.
Hey, Marcus, we ain't seen you ain't seen Sean's system that Sean's senior year, right?
Yo, I had to chase Shawn around through them picks. 4 picks. Hey, I remember that to this day.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm setting screens now. I'm not running around those screens no more.
That's when they said the pick was big JB Fight.
Oh
yeah.
Hey,
I told Marcus, I said, man, you're gonna get screened 100 times tonight. So I hope you got your body armor now. But now Shawn is number 98 now. He got that real body armor on him now.
Right.
Don't start.
Yes, sir.
Do y'all still play a little bit?
I wouldn't call it playing.
Oh no, Shawn's out there beating people up outside on the playground. Wow.
No, it's been fun for me and Shawn.
Ray picking fights with people.
Hey man, so me and Big Bro, man, since we was playing pro ball, we used to do a lot out Arizona when he was with the Suns, and I was doing my thing, man. And now being old heads in the game, we out there like Uncle Drew having fun, going to the court, and we still doing what we do, but we using our mind. We slow with it, but we still effective with it.
Right, definitely.
Yeah. Marcus, you still playing?
Nah, I just shoot. I get some shots up with you. I'm playing horse now, and I ain't been going up and down at all. Playing with the kids my son plays, so
right.
A little bit of one-on-one, soft one-on-one here and there, but
I got you. Yeah. What about you, DeMont?
I'm strictly on the 40 and over league, man.
Got you.
Anything below that, I want no parts of it. And guys are trying to come at my neck because a lot of them know, hey, he played, the amount of time that he's played, DeMont Mallet, I'm going at him, so I don't know. So I'm just, y'all can have it.
Yep. I got you.
40 and up.
That's awesome. We're going to get started. We do have another guest that's going to join us, and he was actually playing basketball, so rushing to get on. He's an active young player, so we'll give the young fella some grace in Quincy Diggs. But thank you guys for joining again tonight. This will be shared out in multiple platforms. We're testing a new platform out, and it's working out smoothly. So without further ado, thank you for taking your time to join the TUAC Talks. As you know, the platform is for educational purposes. Love the dialogue, obviously, about sports and whatnot. But why we came here tonight, for sure, is what is happening in our world right now and what we can do about it. And so thank you for joining us. We're going to do a brief introduction, myself, and I call him Rev Ray, y'all. I'll see that on the screen. And so
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. So I will start this evening's talk by introducing DeMont Mallet. I probably won't do as much justice as the credibility behind your name, DeMont, but I had the privilege of going to the same high school as DeMont, and I think I was a better shooter, but neither here nor there. But with that, just an outstanding player, a very long-term great success in high school as a dual athlete in baseball as well as basketball. Could have went to play professional baseball as well out of high school, and you think I remember that, huh? And just extremely talented. And you'll always hear me say more so because of what kind of person he is. Very astute, always a great student athlete, and that just came from a good family and carried, I believe, why you had such a long-term career overseas as a professional athlete in Belgium, just a world-class champion, and had a great stint at McNeese State University, and just doing great things even today as a philanthropist and giving back to other athletes. So without further ado, thank you for joining us, DeMont Mallet.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to top that. So it's a blessing and honor to have my big bro Shawn Respert on here. Man, I can list this thing all night, all long. Player of the year in the Big Ten.
Legend.
scoring big leader in Big Ten play, Michigan State play. Big shoes to fill, couldn't fill them shoes, man, but just made me a better person, better player overall. A pick of the draft in the NBA, man, and just incredible basketball player in the basketball mind. Just showed me the ropes how to be great on and off the court, and I still use some of them drills from my first year today. So it's an honor and pleasure to still play with you, still learn from you, man, and to have you on the show again for the second time. And this ain't gonna be the last one. We're gonna keep bringing you in here, brother. But love you, yeah, lots of wisdom. Love you, and just grateful to have you back on the show, big bro. So thank you.
Thanks.
And then also, yes, sir. Then we got my cousin, man. We played high school basketball in the backcourt together, Marcus Norris. Man, just you set the standard for me. If it wasn't you, probably wouldn't be no me. So just a tremendous player at the high school level. Obviously was the JUCO All-American at Lansing Community College. Went on to Ball State, and we had some battles there. Was just an All-MAC player, and just a 16-year player over in Europe, man, at the highest level in Spain, man. So just proud to see that me and you made it. We didn't think we were gonna see 21 years old coming from where we come from, man. But it's an honor and pleasure to have you on here, bro. So thank you for coming on.
Appreciate
and last but not least, we got to talk about Ray Jackson. I'm sorry, Michigan State fans, but we do got a U of M guy on here. He'll be joining us in the next 5 minutes. So we got Ray Jackson. I want to say this, but Shawn had to give him some of that work that senior year, and he's okay with that. But Ray was just a tremendous basketball player at U of M. Had a chance to guard him, and they created a movement with the Fab Five, and he played a huge role in that. And obviously was a great basketball player. Went on to the CBA and got Rookie of the Year his first year with the Grand Rapids Hoops, and just doing great things in the Austin, Texas community. So we're looking forward to having him on here as well.
Yeah, so the other that will be joining us as well, as I mentioned earlier, Quincy Diggs, a Texas native, actually Plano East, great player, represented him for a short stint and went on to do just great things. He is an NBA caliber player, played for the Redwell Gunners in Overwart. He was the MVP of the Austrian League and just constantly climbing his way up the ranks. And so while he's out still playing to stay in shape on the playground, so he will join us as well. We look forward to just the script that we have for tonight, and just sit back and feel welcome to just share your insights as we move forward. So as we open, we always ask questions and throw them out there. And so I'm going to start with what exactly should NBA players, as well as those who are former pro athletes like ourselves here tonight with platforms, expect to accomplish beyond this walkout? What should we expect? What are some expectations? Divine, you talked a little bit earlier before we got on about what emphasis should we really put on this walkout?
It's a great question. Like I said, I mean, it's legendary what the guys are doing. Mm-hmm. I think that the NBA has so many guys with a big platform. Mm-hmm. And I think guys like LeBron and James Harden, I think it starts with them, you mm-hmm. know, to express and demonstrate that, hey, I mean, Black lives do matter, mm-hmm. you know, and I mean, just that first step, and then just reaching out and just educating like the youth and just other people, just the world. I think it starts with them, and then it just we can't just stop there. You know, we just, like I said, we have to continue to keep the heat on everybody, keep speaking and just letting our voice be heard. Because if that doesn't happen, then we're just going to be back and go back to the drawing board.
Absolutely. So we talked about that pressure. I do believe you are correct. It does take those franchise players putting emphasis and the pressure on the league it is more than a slogan on a t-shirt, right? So now, we moved to the bubble, and, we have the league supporting us and behind us. And so, but yet still we're moved to a bubble, and people, black men are still getting killed. In fact, it's escalating. So who else would like to kind of just jump in and provide some more emphasis on what Damon shared very insightfully?
Well, my answer for that one is they did it because, to make a change, get the owners, the sponsors, and everybody that's got influence in this game to recognize and help out any way they can. Because they can stop playing, but what happens then? And like Damon said, we gonna sit around and wait, and then something else happens,
right?
Or are they gonna get involved and try to call, make those calls to those attorney generals, those governors, and try to make some systematic changes?
Absolutely. So with that, players that make that kind of money, there are other players that don't make that same kind of money, and we're talking about walking. Does that put pressure on them as well? Like, hey, I understand, but I also have my own family to feed. You think that is something that players should also consider as well?
You want to jump in there, Ray? Welcome.
What's up, family? How y'all doing this evening?
Good.
Well, like for anybody, it's a job, especially when you have a family, man. Like if I was to walk off my job now, that's a discussion I got to have with my wife. You understand? So yeah, that's definitely a topic, because everybody is not that top tier salary guy like LeBron. And I think that's what they should be meeting about behind closed doors. But if you're married to a woman like my wife, she willing to walk out the door for a purpose like this. So the sacrifice will be made, man. Like it's time to stand up, bro. If we don't make the sacrifice now, we'll never do it, man. We'll be behind the 8 ball the rest of our lives, and generations to come will suffer from that, man. So yes, it's a discussion they need to have, but these guys got to take that home with their families, because everybody involved is gonna have to make a sacrifice to make this work.
Sure. Would you go so far as to say that the players that are at that level, that they set up funding, or they put money together to be able to support those guys at a lower level, to create some leverage within themselves to make some things happen?
I mean, that to me, that goes to the Players Association. I definitely think they should set up some sort of funding for those guys. But this too, though, if we're being honest at this point in time, it's time for our guys to really understand money too. You understand, and stop spending frivolously. Like a lot of them cats, them wasted bread. We all did it. I played ball. We wasted money. So it's time. It's time to reprogram all the way around financially, baby, because they made enough money not to be in a hole right now, truth be told. But because we live and we view money and a lot of things different, we mishandle it. So all that has to take place right now. Like, it's a big process, family.
Right.
I love that ownership.
So I just want to dive into it a little bit as well before we go to the next question. But I look at the guys that paved the way before us, right? The Chamberlains, the Bill Russells, and some of those people, right? And I think as time going on with the game, that we've had things in place in the NBA as far as money management, stewardship of the resource that you have. So I think what you're saying from a holistic standpoint, that we have to continue to educate not just the players, but it's got to be the guardians and the people that are around your circle, right? So they can understand that. And the key word that I didn't understand earlier in my career is saying no, right? So I think we have to understand that. But more importantly, man, this is so much bigger than money, and we're gonna get into that a little bit later on down the road. This is about humanity, right? And so we'll touch on that a little bit later too as well.
I want to pause there, because I feel like it's our responsibility. It's your responsibility as a whole, and this is something, from the family dynamics. And it goes back to the severity of this thing. I mean, you all are Black men. How does that feel to the color of your skin is you're brown, and when you walk outside now, there are people we're coming full circle that are getting murdered and killed in broad daylight and in circumstances where it's being captured and are absolutely innocent. So at what cost do we hide, or do we really stand up and provide a way to, hey, why not? If there are, do you guys believe that there are power in numbers, that we have our own leagues? I mean, we have enough money, right? Especially at the top. So it goes back to investing and where we're putting our money. We can have our own TV network. We can have our own league, and it doesn't have to be large scale, right? And to make things happen. I know this is a conversation that even some will shy away from. Be like, yeah, well, you know, that's the NBA. It's the greatest brand in the world, but we are the brand, right?
Yeah. And I think just being transparent, right? Like, I don't think a lot of people want to have this transparent conversation because they may feel like, you know, I'm trying to.
What if I want to work for the brand? What if
work for the brand or the next job? But like I said, later on down the topic, we got some questions we want to talk about. But I think it's a real conversation that needs to be had, because look at the aftermath of what's taking place based on this one shooting, right? It's escalated in touch my hometown. It's touched Michigan. It's touched some other places where you've seen multiple killings based on the situation. And they did not talk about the guy that got killed and shot 10 times in Lafayette, Louisiana, and at the gas station. That wasn't even talked about before this Blake situation.
Yeah.
So it's something that really got to be mindful and talk about.
Well, it is. Well, reporters are talking about it, right? Again, this is systemic racism, and this is one of the rare times. This has never happened in history that players have walked. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, what just happened? Right? So now it's time to push the play button, right? It's time for the key hitters to get in the game and to make things happen. And that's just my perspective. And I am a woman, but I'm a Black woman at the same time. And I'm here to incite and to provoke my brothers so that something can happen. So we're going to leverage from here. It doesn't just take finances. Okay, it's going to take some brainstorming. It's going to take some strategy. It's going to take us building out our own businesses, right? Everyone on this call had a wonderful platform. It's time to put investments and monies into situations. Like we said, we talked about educating youth, right? That is what we are doing with Train Up a Champion. Let's educate our youth. Don't become a product of the system. And it doesn't matter whether it's just the NBA or any aspect of the system. We have enough leverage now to be able to go forward and do those things. So this is something that I'm very passionate about, guys. But without further ado, if anybody doesn't have anything else to input there, I'm going to ask another question, and then Ray is going to chime in with another. But so I'm going to put you guys on the spot. Has any of you experienced a situation, and you don't have to use names, in your career, high school, college, or pro, where you felt like you had to walk out? You maybe didn't practice, or you said, well, I'm not going to, this is not right. I'm going to make a stand. This is the bottom line. This is what this is for me. And I know this is a critical situation, because we play the game, you know, we're in it. We put our shoes on, we sign on the dotted line for money, and we have what we feel like responsibilities and that pressure to measure up. But with the truth be told, we have all been mistreated within the game, right? Within some system that we have been in, right? So does anybody want to share?
Yeah, I'm gonna go last. I'm gonna ask my guys. I got a couple on, but I want to throw that out there, because this is not about us. It's about the generation that's playing now, right? And the one after that, right? So they don't fall for the same things that we fell for. They can feel the courage to have a voice.
All right.
Absolutely.
I got one. I can remember this playing professional basketball. You know, in Europe it's different than in the States. They don't pay you. They just don't pay you. You got to wait. Right. So it's going in 3 weeks and I ain't got paid yet. Teammates not getting, they treat the teammates a little worse. They haven't got paid in 2 months. So I sat out, I sat out like three days in a row, didn't practice.
So what happened when you sat out? What was the response of the coach or the GM? What was the response there?
Well, the coach was with me. I come to practice, I just wouldn't practice. But the GM, you know, they come with the excuses all the time. We waiting on that sponsor, we waiting on this, we waiting on that. But I really didn't understand that. Because I put all my work in. I need that check at the end of the month.
I didn't mail my work. That's correct.
Okay. I'm already making a big sacrifice as it is. So
yeah,
I'm gonna add to what Marcus said. He's right. There was one instance when I played in Turkey, and they would come in and threaten you because you know you're not winning. But you know, as a player, like you're not going out there to try to lose games.
Right.
So if you don't win, they'll like hold your salary. So you're like, okay, look, that's not fair. We come to practice, especially for the guys that come to practice every day. You know, you're attending video, you know, you're on time. You're just doing everything as professional as you can. And they still try to withhold a salary. And I'm like, come on now, like that's not right. So you would have to sit out, or you would like threaten to like replace me.
Yeah.
And those are situations that are just not fair. And this, like I said, it's different. Like Marcus said, it's different from, you know, Europe and in the States, as everybody here knows. You know, I just think those are situations to where like you have to stand for what's right. Look, you're not gonna pay me, I'm gone. Right. I always find a place that's gonna pay me. You know, we ain't out here trying to lose games and be threatened like, okay, you gotta win this game. Well, everybody gotta be. This is not only the players, it's from the coaches, the staff, the organization. They gotta be, you know, in agreement and one accord. You know, it's everybody coming here and being professional, not just the players, just everybody.
Right.
It happens so much in Europe, especially now in this pandemic, man. We're be thankful we ain't over there right now playing in these times.
Right.
So,
anybody else want to dive in there? I'm gonna dive in there. Okay, so I look at it too, right? And I'm not just saying this is about Black Lives Matter, but the game has gone global from our generation where we came, right? It looks totally different, right? And we've seen how the NBA has set up shops, which they should, because we want to expand the game. We want to make the game, you know, grow. But I feel like when the players come to the States, they have a level of security. They're going to get their money. They're going to have a retirement plan in place. And I've had private conversation with some former guys that may not have opportunity where they felt like they weren't to making the NBA team, but went on and uprooted their families, wives, and children to go make the game global, right? Especially as Black men. So you looking at the Black athlete going over to Europe, we have made the game become a global game. Yeah. And we can say that with the first dream team that we had. So the game was able to level up, right? So in that, there was no union in place for us. There was no retirement set up for us. And we would go up there and make that team or that community get more investors and sponsorship dollars for that team to flow and function. But like you guys have just said prior to Damon and Marcus, man, we would sit out for a month and not get paid, but still, you know, required to practice and do all those things. But we still got to make sure that our household over there is taken care of, right? So that causes a lot of anxiety and stress on my wife and children, right? So those are also things that I feel like needs to be addressed on a global scale since the game has become global.
Absolutely.
No doubt. No doubt.
Have a walkout experience. Anybody else have a walkout experience?
I must say we all do the same experience. I think we all share that same experience. I didn't even leave my apartment when I went through it. You know, I sat there till the money showed up. It took 2 days and the money showed up. Like I ain't going to the gym with none of that. So, you know, but to be honest with y'all, our whole movement, the Fab Five, was, you know, like it was crazy because we went through being called, you know, the N-word and everything right there. They didn't want to see 5 Black people on the court in Ann Arbor at one time. So we went through that. So everything we did, from the ball heads to the baggy shorts to the black socks, was a statement. We tried to walk away. At one point, we stopped wearing Nike shirts. We tried to walk away and not wear anything Nike. But being 18, 19 years old and not truly understanding the business and not having the full support, we didn't know how to take that move much further. You understand? So we collapsed. Nike brought us some better shoes, some sweeter uniforms, and as kids, we all in and we keep going, even though we getting played in the back of our mind. So from that point on, and that's why I love to see the steps, because our kids need to know it's levels to this. We have to know our history. You know, it's people that have made tremendous, you know, prior to them, that have opened up these doors and opportunities for them to live. Because that's why I'm so excited to see them make money, get that money. The game owes us that. You understand? It owe all of us that.
That's right.
When you start looking at the NCAA, and I hate to take y'all off, I talk all day, but the
No, you're good.
NCAA is funding. The NCAA is funding damn near 98% of the student athletes based off college basketball. Ain't that crazy? They funding scholarships for lacrosse at Sam Houston State based off the basketball. That's basketball alone. They funding these other programs. So when you start understanding and looking at all that, man, the stance these guys are taking is tremendous. It's time to walk away from the game. It's time to sit down. I mean, I applaud all the athletes.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I love that. As you say that at that age, you didn't know the magnitude of what sitting out, what that was going to have effect on. And I do believe that for young athletes that might end up listening to this, that encourages them as well. I know we've seen some athletes sign with historically Black colleges. I think those are some of the strategic things, as Damon mentioned earlier, that have to happen. What also has to happen is that we have to understand that we are more than an athlete. You guys are businessmen. You are entrepreneurs. You're not just a brand, right? You are able to own and invest and to have to manage. Of course, we have sales. And all those things are great, but I do believe that the aptitude and the ability to be able to lead is there in every one of you in some capacity or role. So I know Coach Respert has been kind of quiet over there. We're gonna have to chime in here. I'm gonna let Ray ask his next question and throw it out there to Shawn, who is was always a sharp shooter, so I know he's gonna knock it down.
Yeah. So the next question I will have was, what is the immediate solution that we can look at for a resolve for what's really going on right now with the sports and the bubble system?
So, I've been coaching for a long time now, and one of the things I learned is to be a better listener, and that enabled me to become a better coach. A lot of coaches fail. A lot of people in positions to teach, I think, fail because, we spend a lot of time talking and wanting to put our content out there to see how players and athletes and students, soak up our information. And you learn a lot just listening to people and meeting them where they are. And as I listen to the conversation, I appreciate all the guys being as real as you have, with the details about, these perspectives you have in life. There were 4 words that jumped out at me, and you talk about communication. I think there has to be an absolute level of communication where miscommunication just happens because people have different perspectives, right? Like people have different educational backgrounds, different experiences, and you have to allow that margin for error. Just people having flaws in their communication, and then education, when you're talking about something, some people have never gone through it before, and you have to be patient with teaching people things that they just don't know of. We were all players, and we had reps in our practices. We had, continued learning from mentors, from coaches to help us figure out, when we were going to be able to get the philosophies and get the strategies down pat, and not just get them down pat, but excel and star in those roles that we were in. But the last thing that jumped off the page for me was, there's a lot of noise in the world right now, and we should take advantage that COVID has allowed the world to become a little bit more quiet, so we can listen and hear each other with some of the things that are being said. And if we don't take advantage of having a unified voice or unified strategy, one of the things that we talked about earlier with the police. I had a little bit of a cheat sheet. My dad was a cop, a Detroit police officer, and I grew up in a household where I saw both sides. And I know my dad did a lot to help out a lot of guys that were in our situations, and he didn't want to put cuffs on people, and he didn't want to have people end up with a record. And I know he cared about having guys that just give them another chance to make it. no matter who you are, whether you're standing on the side of law enforcement or standing on the side of, alleged suspects, civilians, both people deserve the opportunity to get a second chance, to get home, reassess what they've done or haven't done correctly, and try to go back out there and get it right. Because that's what we've had to do as athletes. And everybody hasn't been in a situation to have the repetitions at it that we've had in some situations in our life.
That's awesome. So I'm going to put my Reverend hat on real quick, if I can, briefly. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. And the old saying is, if you don't take a stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? So, Shawn, you are absolutely right. Sometimes you want to be quick to listen, slow to speak, because you want to be able to articulate exactly what you're trying to express, and emotions change often. So this topic is not just about, Black Lives Matters, but it's about humanity. If the shoe was on the foot, but we can't keep turning the blind eye what's been going on for 400 years either as well, right? And I think, it's probably not the coolest thing to say, but it's the realest thing to say in this time of the season, because, we have sons.
Yeah.
And how does that look like now, where they want to go out and go to the store and they may dress a certain way, which we want to have our kids dress appropriate, but they have to look over the shirt and be worried about, if someone's going to take my life. So I could share this now. I went to the grocery store and guy told me, hey, man, you might want to be careful when you go out, and get back to that house. And I said, what do you mean by that, sir? He said, you know exactly what I mean. And as I'm walking down, I heard 2 trucks pull up to me, and they're revving up their car, and see some people looking at me, start yelling, screaming, calling me the N-word. And this just happened recently. So how does that make me feel in 2020? It's a critical time when we talk about a unified front, where we have to take a stand or you fall for anything, man. And I think everybody has their own views and perspectives on that. I know what that means biblically, but this is the time that we have to say something instead of not saying anything, and think about all the people that we have lost their lives over the past several months, not just with COVID-19, but Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let me piggyback a little bit, because I don't want to dominate anything with the content, but I think we got to be careful about the type of examples we use too. There's been a lot of lives lost on both sides,
right?
And I don't want to demean people who are actually in law enforcement doing the things that they're supposed to be doing and not getting credit for the few bad apples that are out there. I do know that, the one thing we have to be careful of is not to, as we're educating, again, it's hard to get people who don't know, who know very little or nothing about our situations, to pay attention to every single detail. We won't win every battle. And I think with the examples of the shootings and the killings and the unlawful arrests, we have to pick something and stay with that first until we've proven that everybody has understood the angle that we're talking about before we throw 3, 4, 5 different things in there, because it just causes more confusion to people who don't understand anything about what we're talking about.
I love it. And I think that's why for us being athletes, I think one of the things, and I'm big on ownership, that we can take ownership in is that I don't know what kind of student each of you all were, besides obviously I went to high school with Damon, but I do know this, and I take ownership and took ownership in my education. And I wasn't just always a stellar student athlete. Things did work out from that standpoint, but I do believe that one way that we can do that is we have to redefine the educational system, right? So the way that we educate our children through sports it's critical, whether you have children or not, or you are running youth programs. I think one of the ways that we also err is that we put so much emphasis on the game and the sport alone that we forget that there's more than one way that we can create change in our world.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest travesty with young Black men today. And it is, by the time you learn how to bounce a ball, hit a ball, throw a ball, it is very much so embedded into what you do and what you become. And so that is something that I think from a grassroots perspective needs to be rearranged for sure. It's going to take gentlemen like yourselves mirroring not just the great things you did, but this is where I went wrong. This is like what you were saying earlier, Ray. This is what I could have done better, and then also this is what I'm doing now with what I did in the game, right? And so we all know the reality is at some point, I don't care. We laughed and joked at the intro. How many shots we go out and what league we're playing in the 40 and over. But the reality is that one thing is for sure, that what we did in the game, that does not expire. No one can take that away from us, right? And that's a part of our identity. And so with that, I think that is what we utilize to strategically educate and to move and change the mindset. I think there's a mindset shift that has to happen as well, because obviously some of the first things that people throw out there from a protagonist standpoint is that, well, y'all are killing each other, right? So what do you expect? And no, that's not right? I'm saying that as a Black woman from a multicultural standpoint, but there's some validity in that, right? There is validity in that. And so with the platform, and because to me, a platform doesn't mean anything if you're not using it for a positive purpose. If you are not using it to advance a people, right? It's not just about us, right? We played the game for a long time, and many balls were in the basket, right? Many assists were made, dunks, and the whole nine. But it is the very people that were in the stands, white, black, blue, Chinese, doesn't matter what color they were there to support us, right? So even in that, we can create international bridge programs, right? To be able to move and create and leverage safety, peace, right? There's more than one way to do it. So I won't go off on my Dean Weathers tangent. Go ahead, Ray.
But from an athletic standpoint and the education standpoint, it's crazy, because what we have to do is allow these kids to operate in calling from day one. You understand? If you like to cut hair, we need you to be able to go play basketball and work on cutting hair and learn the fundamentals of reading and writing and finances and money. You understand? If we allow these kids to operate in their callings when they get to the colleges, then the education process moves different. Like the kids we deal with are far from dumb. They're not going to go to school for world history, and they know they never going to make money off of world history. We have to retrain it. That's the beauty of what y'all are bringing together. We have to redo the way we operate with education. You know what I'm saying? And that's crucial. And we have to allow kids the freedom, as we see in this world now, to operate in their God-given calling. That's the biggest thing. Some of these kids are incredible, So we have to let them portion that along with being basketball players and teaching them that the ball does stop at some point.
Yeah, because I almost bet that a lot of those young people out there in the streets right now with guns are millennials. They are young people that either they finish high school and they don't know what to do with themselves, and so it's like, oh, well, we got guns in our hands. Let's have at it. They're not really thinking about the fact that, oh, I could die today, right? They're really not thinking like that, right? And they're not thinking like that because we also have to change what we produce and what we put out there. I'm not going to go into music and the whole nine, but I will say, do you all believe, I'm going to ask this question to you all, do you all believe as Black men your worth and the value of what you bring to sports? Do you really believe, right? So we talk about contracts and all the finances, all the money that is accumulated. Do you really believe your worth?
That's a great question.
That's an awesome question.
Yes.
I say it like this: like, you can't calculate the value of Black sports. Like, I mean, absent our presence, like the game wouldn't be entertaining or exciting. Like, for example, like Larry Bird, he's a great basketball player. But he ain't no Magic Johnson.
Facts, true to life.
What it is. So I mean, that's an excellent question, Angela. Hands down.
Okay. We came up with that. We talked about it. So you looking at me like,
I'm looking at my husband.
Yeah. So I came up with that question because I thought it was so relevant, right? When we discussed it, was like, what would be a closing, banging question to ask people as far as do we really understand our value, right? And I just went based on my experience because when I got a chance to go globally, you would see the culture change, and I used this experience that I was fortunate and blessed to not boasting to go to the Big Ten All-Star team in Japan right after Shawn had graduated his senior year. And I went there, and everybody was in uniform, very robotic, the way they cheered and all that stuff, right? But it was interesting to me. They would follow the black players and taking all these pictures and stuff, and it was like really strange for me, right? Fast forward, I go play there professionally. Now you got everybody looking like us, dressing like us, talking like us, and they were like, if we don't watch y'all, we can't do or duplicate what you do on the basketball court or in your creativity. So when I thought about that, I said, my goodness, if we really think about what Kyrie Irving said, and it's facts, if all the black people stop playing in the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, there's no $1 trillion deals. And that's just facts, right? And the same thing I would say globally. So I thought that was a major question. Do we understand the value that we bring to sports? And I really don't believe that because I still think sometimes as a society, we still have an I mentality, and I got to get how I can get it and leave everybody else behind. And I've seen that.
So being a 13-year pro athlete, what was your mind on at that time? Like what was it that devalued you actually, so that someone listening can really, as a young athlete that or a parent is sharing with their son, that's Ray Weathers, but what is it that you can give them that helps them to understand their value and their worth from your own walk where you didn't value yourself?
Right. So I think the biggest thing is just understanding your faith relationship and what your gifts is and your talents to add value to not just, we have to change the narrative, guys. Like let's talk, let's not sit on our hands, right? We have to change the narrative of the black community and the black home of this thing. You know what? Your only way in out is because of a basketball, football, or baseball, soccer ball, or sport. We have to change that narrative because we have some brilliant minds that guys were doing great things before even playing the sport, right? So I told people my passion was to be able to draw. I went to Michigan State and I said, you know what? I want to be able to go draw for Disney World. But I sat on that gift because it conflicted with the basketball schedule and the training tables and the study tables and all those things. So I sat on the talent that was something that I was just as passionate about as playing the game, right? But I believe that if I didn't play basketball, then I wouldn't have the same opportunity to get a free education based on playing the ball because I hadn't had all the tools to be able to further my education in that way. So I felt like coming from Jackson, and Marcus, maybe you could jump in. When you come from a small town where you start talking about the Detroits, the Sagginaws, and the Lansing, the Flints, our thinking was that's all we saw as far as our examples, right? Okay. So for us, we want to be door openers. We wanted to say, you know what, if we can do some awesome stuff with the basketball.
Sure. So in that door opening, okay, Marcus, so in that door opening, or any of you guys that want to answer, in that, where in that process do we devalue ourselves? Where do we devalue ourselves in that process? What happens there? We have these expectations that an organization, a coach, or a people, or even our family dynamics that they want from us. But where do we miss the mark? Where do we devalue ourselves in that? Help somebody that's going to share this out. Where do we lose our value?
I was going to expand on what Ray was saying, that me as a man and a human being, my worth is more than. You should be more appreciated than being a pro athlete or athlete at all. Because, we in college, you like pros on the college campus.
Yes.
And they looking at us a certain way. We the ones that make everything go at the college level and on the professional teams.
So, but in that, how do you guys conduct yourselves? How did you conduct yourself? That's what I'm getting at here. How did you conduct yourself as a black man?
So
Take a jog down memory lane.
Now I understand it more in depth. So I can honestly say for the young people that's following stuff like my behavior was contradictory to the things that we supposed to stand for, right? You know, doing things that was inappropriate, you know, receiving things that we shouldn't receive, all those things because you got so many things presented in danger to you, and everything is not good for you that looks good for you, right? So there was a lot of mistakes that I made as a, you know, and I have to take ownership, right? You know, at the end of the day, I can't blame anybody for the decisions that I made and all that. So you have to take ownership. I believe that's very, very important. And everybody can't go where you're going. You know, everybody can't go on this journey where you're going in life. And so, you know, success is just not about how much you have attained, right? You know, as much money I was blessed to make, it never really made me happy. So at the end of the day, to help someone, you can't tell them about all the great things that you've done and stuff like that. You got to tell them about a lot of mistakes that you made so they don't have to fall for the same thing as that's what you said.
Absolutely. I love that. See, I'm over here. You guys don't even understand the things. I know Shawn, and he visits with us often. And Shawn, you talk a lot about ownership and accountability. If you can just chime in on that, where we can, this is changing the narrative, understanding our value and worth. Talk a little bit about that ownership and accountability.
So, you know, I want to, even before we get, I want to thank, you know, Marcus and Dee. I, as you were doing introductions, I saw them playfully nodding their heads about, you know, the little introduction about things that we all accomplish. And I'm just thankful that, you know, what I did as a kid growing up, that other people and my peers appreciated, you know, and especially, you know, Ray Weathers as a teammate, you know, to know that I put out a standard and I had to be accountable for that, good or bad. You know, thank God a lot of those things were in a positive manner, you know, and don't mean that I didn't try things, you know, I was just probably better than some other people that tried it and didn't get caught up. But for Ray, you know, you guys down in Ann Arbor, man, it was a pleasure and an honor to have an opportunity to compete against you guys. And, you know, that was our platform as far as the social media. For me to be a kid and watch what you guys were doing and feel confident that I believed I deserved to have a chance to do and accomplish some of those things. You allowed me to, you know, graduate and believe in myself that I had bigger and better things out there for me than a kid that came out the city. Just, you know, I was never a top-notch recruit. I was never, you know, top All-American, none of that stuff. But you guys allowed me to believe in a lot of things. So I heard you saying earlier about, you know, what you were down there struggling with as 19-year-old young men. But your struggle absolutely paved a lot of things for those of us who did pay attention. I'm sorry that, you know, we didn't have a platform to have more people be able to tap into that, but I absolutely understood a lot of things, you know, through Jalen and I having our childhood relationship, and Chris and I, you know, almost going to high school together, and now Jawan, years later, having a strong friendship with him, and Jimmy, you know, being able to connect with classmates of mine in high school. Like, we were all, you know, 6 degrees of separation. And I want to thank, you know, you for just giving a kid a chance that when I saw you guys doing it, I absolutely believed it, especially being on the court, rubbing shoulders, competing. I thought it was just something that was magic. I mean, the Big Ten will never see an era like that with guys from so many diverse backgrounds and so many levels to be able to go out there.
Hold up, time out. Let me hit you with the C-Web timeout, bro, because I'm tired of you being humble like this, bro. I'm tired of this, bro. So look, so when people start talking crazy, man, let's get to the basketball real quick, and we'll get back to this other thing. They talk about Steph Curry. I say, man, the first person to hit me in my mouth from half court was Shawn Respert. Like, I'm looking at Fish like, bro, I need to pick this dude up on the other side. So, bro, don't be humble, man. You a G out here, bro. Hey, boy, you earned everything. God has been great, and it was an honor for me to play against you guys as well, bro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all legendary. Y'all what made everything else.
Hey, so
let me tell you this. We lose our value. You understand? We don't value ourselves. We don't value ourselves, one, because of the lack of unity. You understand? We not unified. If we unified, we would have been walked away from the game. You understand what I'm saying? If we truly knew our value and our worth, we would have been walked away. And then we don't trust each other. And this is crazy because all of us have played at a high level and we understand what made those teams successful. Everybody played their role. From the very beginning of life, we need to teach our kids to play roles. Get in your position and be an asset, not a hindrance to the growth of any process you're involved in. Play your position to the fullest. See, we got away from celebrating the dude that set the screen and the dude that take the charge. But that's life. That transitions to life. That's the dude that builds the house. That's your lawyer. That's your attorney. You understand? Everybody has a position to play. That's your teacher. That's your principal. It's a role to play. We have to get back to playing our roles, and we have to be united and trust one another. Once we do that, it's back on. Then we'll truly understand. Then I'll be like, yeah, we got it. We get it. We value ourselves. Shawn Respert, can you still shoot from half court, boy?
Yeah, hey, this one came out there and was making, he made like 45 left-hand three-pointers, man. I'm looking at him. We outside. But I want to dive in too, Ray, so I'm going to bring it back to you. You blessed me to be on your broadcast, man. So when you just talked about 10 minutes ago about, what was taking place when y'all was boycotting, I was a special guest when you guys recruited me, and I never forget this. I went to Michigan State seeing Big Bro with the Converse, Converse was still solid back then, right? The grandma malls. But I'm looking at like, man, it'd be nice to have some Air Max, man. Like, man. So I go into the locker room, and they brought me to the back, and I never forget them Nike representatives back there, and they had these shoes, Nike bags, and they was putting out all these shoes in demonstration. Y'all had the black T-shirt, and y'all was looking at me like, young fella, you already know what's going on. So that opened my eyes as a young 16 and 17-year-old. Like, man, so I knew y'all was already doing something totally different back then, being younger than what you guys was on that platform, man. I already knew what time it was back then.
So does that?
But with that said, just think if we would have had some older adults telling us how to build a brand and market that and do what we needed to do. But like I said, that's part of the process of being a groundbreaker. Nobody knows. Like Calipari looks great handling all these All-Americans now because Steve Fisher went through it. Somebody had to do it first, bro. The thing is that we have to break the cycle and make sure that we reaching out. Like the kids with the guns, they outside with the guns because we not providing the resources that kept Shawn Respert off the street after school. You understand? We going home. Our teachers are going home after school. We don't have the after school programs in place to keep these kids involved and channel their God-given talents and blessings, baby. So we have to do better as adults now to provide those platforms if we want to see a change with the next generation.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. The unity that you just mentioned, that is what it's going to take. It's going to take that unity. And I also believe that it's going to take meeting the next generation where they're at with intentionality. And that's what you're talking about here, these programs and just giving back, because that's going to be the only way. And if we don't, there will be a whole lot more casualties. And I believe that just us alone, just individually and collectively, right? We have great platforms, but together we can create change, because there is power in numbers. There's power in agreement, right? And so with that, I think that is where we can begin to make change through every level of the game. And that is where you will see the narrative in the system begin to change. So it can no longer be, I'll accept these things just how they are, right? I'm going to take this. We talked about this a couple times. I think maybe even on your show, Ray, but we are not just a voice. We are the table. We are the table. And when we realize that, we're going to talk differently. We're going to act differently. We're going to move differently, right? And so this is something, as you said, right now is the time. Like every day, our hands have to be at work as to how we can make change every single day. Because is it going to get better? Probably not, right? But does it have to hit really close to home for us to do something, right? Demond, you know where we come from. A lot of our classmates died. The 71446. Listen, and 318. Listen, I'm a 318. Go get my education. I'm a 71446. Come back. We got to do things together, Demond. We got to go back, right? We got to go back, and we got to look past. We all know, jersey retirements and and things that we know what we did in the game, right?
Right, for sure.
So that's what we have to do in order to make things happen. That's what we have to do. So I am so thankful that you guys got on here and shared so much insight and wisdom. I want to make sure that the following, as it's going to be shared, and as you guys know, my platform is fragmented in different areas, so it is recorded. But I do want to make sure that the listeners and viewers can get in touch with you. You don't have to share how people can get in touch with you, but starting with Demond, and then Marcus, and then Shawn, and the vet Ray, please feel welcome to share how people can get in touch with you.
Oh man, just social media. I'm not big on social media, but it's at the ageless one. That's my Instagram. What's that? What is that? What's the other platform?
You're on Instagram, Twitter, what? Facebook, LinkedIn?
Twitter at Demond Mallet.
There we go.
Instagram is at the ageless one. That's it.
Okay. Awesome. Marcus.
Mine just Marcus Norris Basketball. You can find me on all platforms.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shawn, would you like to share?
I don't have anything.
Look, he's not there yet. We're having conversations.
But I'm the hardest one to find.
We're going to get there. What about you, Ray?
Hey, you can find us on Facebook. Everything is Ray Jackson, whether it's Ray Jackson Rising Stars on Facebook, Instagram, it's Blackjack21. Anywhere you can find me anywhere. I'm easy to find. I'm in the trenches every day, so I'm easy to find. You know that. And then let me say this, fellas. Anytime y'all need me, please let me know what y'all need, man. I'm so willing to help and support in any way, man. Even if it's just a voice, use me, man. Ride my back like a bull, baby.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. We have to do that for each other. Thank you guys so much for joining in. You will get the podcast as well as the footage. You be blessed. Thank you for your time and the stewardship of your time, and have a wonderful weekend, guys.
All right, y'all. Thanks.
Love you.
You too. Bye-bye.